Mom had me pack the night before the big shift. We put all the clothes I was taking on my bed, and she folded everything neatly and put it inside the bag while I watched. It was a plain blue rolling duffel. By the way, no lowers or artwork. What if I can't sleep at night? I asked. Take a book with you. Then if you can't sleep, you can pull out your flashlight and read for a bit until you get sleepy, she answered. I nodded. What if I have a nightmare? Your teachers will be there, sweetie, she said, and Jack and friends. I can bring Babu, I said. That was my favorite stuffed animal when I was little. A small black bear with a sharp black nose. You don't really sleep with him anymore, do you? Said Mom. No, but I keep him in my clothes in case I wake up in the middle of the night. I can't get back to sleep, I said. I could hide him in my bed. No one would know. Then let's do that, Mom nodded, getting Babu from inside my closet. I wish they allowed shuffles, I said. I know, me too, she said. Though I know you're going to have a great time, Augie. You sure you want to pack Babu? Yeah, but way away no one can see him, I said. She stuck Babu deep inside the bag and then stuffed the last of my t-shirts on top of him. So many clothes just for 2 days. 3 days and 2 nights, I corrected her. Yeah, she nodded, smiling. 3 days and 2 nights. She zipped up the duffel bag and picked it up. Not so heavy. Try it. I picked up the bag. Fine, I shrugged. She sat on the bed. Hey, what happened to your Empire Strikes Back poster? Oh, I took that down ages ago, I answered. She shook her head. Huh, I didn't notice that before. I'm trying to, change my image a bit, I explained. Okay, she smiled, nodding like she understood. Anyway, honey, you have to promise me you won't forget to put on the bug spray, okay? On the legs, especially when you're hiking through the woods. It's right here in the front compartment. Uh-huh. And you put on your sunscreen, she said. You do not want to get a sunburn. And don't, I repeat, do not forget to take your hearing aids off if you go swimming. Would I get electrocuted? No, but you'd be in real hot water with Daddy because those things cost a fortune. She laughed. I put the rain poncho in the front compartment too. Same thing goes if it rains. Augie, okay? Make sure you cover the hearing aids with the hood. Aye, sir, I said, saluting. She smiled and pulled me over. I can't believe how much you've grown up this year, Augie, she said softly, putting her hands on the sides of my face. Do I look taller? Definitely, she nodded. I'm still the shortest one in my grade. I'm not really even talking about your height, she said. Suppose I hate it there. You're going to have a great time, Augie? I nodded. She got up and gave me a quick kiss on the forehead. Okay, so I say we get to bed now. It's only 9 o'clock, Mom. Your bus leaves at 6 a.m. tomorrow. You don't want to be late. Come on, chop chop. Your teeth are brushed. I nodded and climbed into bed. She started to lie down next to me. You don't need to put me to bed tonight, Mom, I said. I'll read on my own till I get sleepy. Really? She nodded, impressed. She squeezed my hand and gave it a kiss. Okay then, good night, love, have sweet dreams. You too. She turned on the little reading light beside the bed. You write your letters, I said as she was leaving. Even though I'll probably be home before you guys even get them. Then we can read them together, she said, and threw me a kiss. When she left my room, I took my copy of The Lion, The Witch, and the Wardrobe off the night table and started reading until I fell asleep. Though the witch knew the deep magic, there is a magic deeper still which she did not know. Her knowledge goes back only the dawn of time. Maybe she could have looked a little further back, into the stillness and the darkness before time dawned. She would have read there a different incantation.
Daybreak. The next day I woke up really early. It was still dark inside my room and even darker outside, though I knew it would be morning soon. I turned over on my side but didn't feel at all sleepy. That's when I saw Daisy sitting near my bed. I knew it wasn't Daisy, but for a second I saw a shadow that looked just like her. I didn't think it was a dream then, but now looking back, I know it must have been. It didn't make me sad to see her at all. It just filled me up with nice feelings inside. She was gone after a second, and I couldn't see her again in the darkness. The room slowly started lightening. I reached out for my hearing aid headband and put it on, and now the world was really awake. I could hear the garbage trucks clunking down the street and the birds in our backyard. And down the hallway I heard Mom's alarm beeping. Daisy's ghost made me feel super strong inside, knowing wherever I am, she'd be there with me. I got up out of bed and went to my desk and wrote a little note to Mom. Then I went into the living room, where my packed bag was by the door. I opened it up and fished inside until I found what I was looking for. I took Babu back to my room and I laid him in my bed and taped the little note to Mom on his chest. And then I covered him with my blanket so Mom would find him later. The note read, "Dear Mom, I won't eat Babu, but if you miss me, you can cuddle with him yourself. XO, Augie."
Day 1. The boat ride went really fast. I sat by the window and Jack was next to me in the aisle seat. Summer and Maya were in front of us. Everyone was in good mood, kind of loud, laughing a lot. I noticed right away that Julian wasn't on our bus, even though Henry and Miles were. I figured he must be on the other bus, but then I overheard Miles tell Amos that Julian did the red chip because he thought the whole natural retreat thing was quote-unquote dopey. I got totally bummed because dealing with Julian for 3 days in a row and 2 nights were major reasons that I was nervous about this whole trip. So now without him there, I could really just relax and not worry about anything. We got to the nature reserve at around noon. The first thing we did was put our stuff down in the cabins. There were 3 bunk beds to every room, so me and Jack did rock, paper, scissors for the top bunk and I won. Woohoo! And the other guys in the room were Red and Tristan and Pablo and Nino. After we had lunch in the main cabin, we all went on to our guide nature hike through the woods, but they were not good, like the kind they have in Central Park. They were real good. Giant that almost totally blocked out the sunlight. Tango, a leaf, and fallen tree trunk, horn and chip, and really loud bird call. There was sly frog too, like a pale blue smoke all around us. So cool. The nature guide pointed everything out to us, the different type of trees we were passing, the insect inside the dead rock on the trail, the sight of deer and bear in the woods, what type of birds were whistling and where to look for them. I realized that my robot hearing aids actually made me hear better than most people because I was actually the first person to hear the bird call. It started to rain as we head back to camp. I put on my rain poncho and pulled the hood up so my hearing aids wouldn't get wet, but my jeans and shoes got soaked by the time we left our cabin. Everyone got served. It was fun. So we had a wet sofa in the cabin. Seeing it rain for the rest of the day, we spent most of the afternoon goofing out in the red room. They had a ping pong table and old-style arcade game like Batman and Missile Command that we played until dinner time. Luckily, by then it had stopped raining, so we got to have a real campfire cookout. The rock bench around the campfire was still a little damp, but we threw our jackets over them and hung out by the fire, toasting more and eating the best roast hot dog I have ever tasted. Mom was right about the motorcoats. There were tons of them, but luckily I had spit myself before I left the cabin, and I wasn't eaten alive like some other kids were. I love hanging out by the campfire after dusk. I love the way bits of fire dust would float up and disappear into the night air, and how the fire lit up people's faces. I love the sound the fire made too, and how the woods were so dark that you couldn't see anything around you. So angels would look up and see a billion stars in the sky. The sky doesn't look like that in lonely overhead. I have I have seen it look like that in mountains, though, like some one spring saw on the shiny black table. I was so tired when I got back to the cabin that I didn't need to pull out the book to read. I fell asleep almost as fast as my head hit the pillow, and maybe I dreamed about star. I don't know.
Chapter 105 The Goose Does Alive. Somewhere around the boring part where the guy named Ruth and the oldest daughter are saying, "You're 16 going on 17, Jack nudged me. "Dude, I've got to pee," he said. We both got up and kind of hopscotched over the kids who were sitting or lying down the sleeping bags. Summer waved as we passed, and I waved back. There were lots of kids from the other schools walking around by the food trucks, playing the carnival games or just hanging out. Of course, there was a huge line for the Thales. "Forgot this. I'll just find a tree," said Jack. "That was Jack. Let's just wait," I answered. But he headed off to the row of trees at the edge of the field, which were past the orange cones that we were specifically told not to go past. And of course I followed him. And of course we didn't have our flashlight because we forgot to bring them. It was so dark now, we literally couldn't see 10 steps ahead of us as we walked toward the goose. Luckily, the movie gave off some light, so when we saw a flashlight coming toward us out of the goose, we knew immediately that it was Henry, Miles, and Amos. I guess they hadn't wanted to wait online to use the Thales either. Miles and Harry were still not talking to Jack, but Amos had let go of the world a while ago. He nodded hello to us, and they passed by. "Be careful of the bears," shouted Harry, and he'd Miles laughed as they walked away. Amos shook his head and was like, "Don't pay attention to them." Jack and I walked a little farther until we were just inside the goose. Then Jack hunted around for the perfect tree and finally did his business, though it felt like he was taking forever. The goose were loud with strange sounds and chirps and croaks, like a worm noise coming out of the trees. Then we started hearing loud snaps not far from us, almost like capgun pops. That definitely were an insect noise. And far away, like in another world, we could hear raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens. "Ah, that's much better," said Jack, zipping up. "Now have to pee," I said, which I did on the nearest tree. "No way," I was going farther in like Jack did. "Do you smell that?" "Like firecrackers," he said, coming over to me. "Oh yeah, that was Daddy," I answered, zipping up. "Wait, let's go."
Be kind to nature. An announcement came over the huge speakers next to the stadium's line. Welcome everyone, welcome to the 23rd annual Big Movie Night at the Broadwood Nature Reserve. Welcome teachers and students from MS 342, the William Hill School. A big cheer went up on the left side of the field. Welcome teachers and students from Glover Academy. Another cheer went up, this time from the right side of the field. And welcome teachers and students from the Beecher Prep School. Our whole group cheered as loudly as we could. We are thrilled to have you as our guests here tonight and thrilled that the weather is cooperating. In fact, can you believe what a beautiful night it is? Again, everyone whooped and hollered. So, as we prepare the movie, we do ask that you take a few moments to listen to this important announcement. The Broadwood Nature Reserve, as you know, is dedicated to preserving our natural resources and the environment. We ask that you have no litter behind. Clean up after yourselves. Be kind to nature, and it will be kind to you. We ask that you keep that in mind as you walk around the grounds. Do not venture beyond the orange cones at the edges of the fairgrounds. Do not go into the cornfields or the woods. Please keep the free roaming to a minimum. Even if you don't feel like watching the movie, your fellow students may feel otherwise. So please be courteous. No talking, no playing music, no running around. The restrooms are located on the other side of the concession stands. After the movie is over, it will be quite dark, so we ask that all of you stay with your schools and you make your way back to your buses. Teachers, there is usually at least one lost party on big movie nights at Broadwood. Don't let it happen to you. Tonight's movie presentation will be The Sound of Music. I immediately started clapping, even though I had seen it a few times before, because it was Via's favorite movie of all time. But I was so surprised that a whole bunch of kids, not from Beecher, Booth and his, and laughed. Someone from the right side of the field even threw a soda can at the screen, which seemed to surprise Miss Tushman. I saw him standing up and look in the direction of the can thrower, though I knew he couldn't see anything in the dark. The movie started playing right away. The stadium lights dimmed. Maria, the nun, was standing at the top of the mountain, twirling around and around. It had gotten chilly all of a sudden, so I put on my yellow Montauk hoodie and adjusted the volume on my hearing aids and leaned against my backpack and started watching. The hills are alive.
The fairgrounds. The next day was just as great as the first day. We went horseback riding in the morning, and in the afternoon we rappelled up some ginormous trees with the help of some nature guides. By the time we got back to the cabins for dinner, we were all really tired again. After dinner they told us we had an hour to rest, and then we were going to take a 15-minute bus ride to the fairgrounds for an outdoor movie night. I hadn't had a chance to write a letter to Mom and Dad and Via yet, so I wrote one telling them all about the stuff we did that day and the day before. I pictured myself reading it to them out loud when I got back, since there was just no way the letter would get home before I did. When we got to the fairgrounds, the sun was just starting to set. It was about 7:30. The shadows were really long on the grass, and the clouds were pink and orange. It looked like someone had taken sidewalk chalk and smudged the colors across the sky with their fingers. It's not that I haven't seen nice sunsets before in the city, because I have slivers of sunsets between buildings, but I wasn't used to seeing so much sky in every direction. Out there in the fairgrounds, I could understand why ancient people used to think the world was flat and the sky was a dome that closed in on top of it. That's what it looked like from the fairgrounds, in the middle of this huge open field. Because we were the first school to arrive, we got to run around the field all we wanted until the teachers told us it was time to lay out our sleeping bags on the ground and get good viewing seats. We unzipped our bags and laid them down like picnic blankets on the grass in front of the giant movie screen in the middle of the field. Then we went to the row of food trucks parked at the edge of the field to load up on snacks and sodas and stuff like that. There were concession stands there too, like a farmer's market, selling roasted peanuts and cotton candy. And up a little further was a short row of carnival-type stalls, the kind where you can win a stuffed animal if you throw a baseball into a basket. Jack and I both tried and failed to win anything, but we heard Amos won a yellow hippo and gave it to Smena. That was the big gossip that went around the Jock and the Brainiac. From the food trucks, you could see the corn stalks in back of the movie screen. They covered about a third of the entire field. The rest of the field was completely surrounded by woods. As the sun sank lower in the sky, the tall trees at the entrance to the woods looked dark blue. By the time the other school buses pulled into the parking lots, we were back in our spots on the sleeping bags, right smack in front of the screen, the best seats in the whole field. Everyone was passing around snacks and having a great time. Me and Jack and Summer and Raid and Maya played Pictionary. We could hear the sounds of the other schools arriving, the loud laughing and talking of kids coming out on the field on both sides of us, but we couldn't really see them. Though the sky was still light, the sun had gone down completely, and everything on the ground had turned deep purple. The clouds were shadows now. We had trouble even seeing the Pictionary cards in front of us. Just then, without any announcement, all the lights at the ends of the field went on at once. They were like big, bright stadium lights. I thought of that scene in Close Encounters, when the alien ship lands and they're playing that music, da-da-do-da-dun. Everyone in the field started applauding and cheering like something great had just happened.
Chapter Alien. We head back the way we came, in the direction of the giant screen. That's when we walked straight into a group of kids we didn't know. They would just come out of the woods, doing stuff I'm sure they didn't want their teachers to know about. I could smell the smoke now, the smell of both fried crackers and cigarettes. They pointed a flashlight at us. There were 6 of them, 4 boys and 2 girls. Look, like they were in the 7th grade. What school are you from? One of the boys called out. Beecher Prep. Jack started to answer, when all of a sudden one of the girls started screaming. Oh my God! She shrieked, holding her hand over her eyes like she was crying. I figured maybe a huge bug had just flown into her face or something. No way! One of the boys cried out, and he started flicking his head in the air like he would just touch something hot. And then he covered his mouth. No freaking way, man. No freaking way. All of them started half laughing and half covering their eyes now, pushing each other and cursing loudly. What is that? Said the kid who was pointing the flashlight at us. And it was only then I realized that the flashlight was pointed right at my face. And what they were talking about, screaming about, was me. "Let's get out of here," Jack said to me quietly, and he pulled me by sweatshirt sleeve and started walking away from them. "Wait, wait, wait," yelled the guy with the flashlight, cutting up. He pointed the flashlight right in my face again, and now he was only about 5 feet away. Oh man," he said, shaking his head, his mouth wide open. "What happened to your face?" "Stop it, Eddie," said one of the girls. "I didn't know we were watching Lord of the Rings tonight," he said. "Look, guys, it's Gollum." This with his friend, Mr. Rico. Again, we tried to walk away from them, and again the kid named Eddie cut us off. He was at least a head taller than Jack. He was about head taller than me, so the guy looked huge to me. "No, man, it's alien," said one of the other kids. No, man, it's Orc," laughed Eddie, pointing the flashlight in my face again. This time, he was right in front of us. "Leave him alone, okay?" said Jack, pushing the hand holding the flashlight away. "Make me," answered Eddie, pointing the flashlight in Jack's face now. What's your problem, dude?" said Jack. "Your boyfriend's my problem, Jack." "Let's just go," I said, pulling him by the arm. "Oh man, it talks," screamed Eddie, shining the flashlight in my face again. Then one of the other guys threw a firecracker at our feet. Jack tried to put past Eddie, but Eddie shoved his hands into Jack's shoulder and pushed him hard, which made Jack fall backward. "Eddie!" screamed one of the girls. "Look," I said, stepping in front of Jack and holding my hands up in the air like a traffic cop. "We are a lot smaller than you guys." "Are you talking to me, Freddy Krueger?" "I don't think you want to mess with me, you ugly freak," said Eddie. And this was the point where I knew I should run as fast as I could. But Jack was still on the ground and I wasn't about to leave him. "Yo, dude," said a new voice behind us. "What's up, man?" Eddie spun around and pointed his flash towards the voice. For a second, I couldn't believe who it was. "Leave them alone, dude," said Amos, with Miles and Henry right behind him. "Says who?" said one of the guys with Eddie. "Just leave them alone, dude," Amos repeated calmly. "Are you freak too?" said Eddie. "They are all a bunch of freaks," said one of his friends. Amos didn't answer them, but looked at us. "Come on, guys, let's go. Mr. Tushman is waiting for us." I knew that was a lie, but I helped Jack get up, and we started walking over to Amos. Then, out of the blue, the Eddie guy grabbed my hood as I passed by him, yanked it really hard so I was pulled backward and fell flat on my back. I was hurtful, and I hurt my elbow pretty bad on a rock. I couldn't really see what happened afterward, except that Amos grabbed into the Eddie guy like a monster truck, and they both fell down to the ground next to me. Everything got really crazy after that. Someone pulled me up by my sleeve and yelled, "Run!" And someone else screamed, "Get them!" At the same time, and for a few seconds, I actually had two people pulling the sleeves of my sweatshirt in opposite directions. I heard them both cursing until my sweatshirt ripped, and the first guy yanked me by my arm and started pulling me behind him as we ran, which I did as fast as I could. I could hear footsteps just behind us, chasing us, and voice shouting and girls screaming. But it was so dark I didn't know whose voice they were. Only that everything felt like we were underwater. We were running like crazy, and it was pitch black. And whenever I started to slow down, the guy pulling me by my arm yelled, "Don't stop."
Voices in the dark. Finally, after what seemed like forever of running, someone yelled, "I think we lost them." "Amos, I'm right here," said Amos' voice a few feet behind us. We can stop. Myers yelled for follow-up. Jack! I yelled. Wow, said Jack. I'm here. I can't see a thing. Are you sure we lost them? Henry asked, leaning over my arm. That's when I realized that he'd been the one who was pulling me as we ran. Yeah. Shh, let's listen. We all got super quiet, listening for footsteps in the dark. All we could hear were the crickets and frogs and our own crazy panting. We were out of breath, stomachs hurting, bodies bent over our knees. We lost them, said Henry. Oh, that was intense. What happened to the flashlight? I dropped it. How do you guys know? Said Jack. We saw them before. They look like jerks. You just rammed into him? I said to Amos. I know, right? Laughed Amos. He didn't even see it coming, said Myers. He was like, Are you a freak too? And you were like, Bam, said Jack. Bam, said Amos, throwing a fake punch in the air. But after I tackled him, I was like, Run, Amos, you smart. He's 10 times bigger than you. And I got up and started running as fast as I could. We all started laughing. I grabbed Augie and it was like, Run, said Henry. I didn't even know it was you pulling me, I answered. That was wired, said Amos, shaking his head. Totally wired. Your lip is bleeding, dude. I got in a couple good punches, answered Amos, wiping his lip. I think they were 7th graders. They were huge. Losers! Henry shouted really loudly, but we all shut him. We listened for a second to make sure no one had heard him. Where the heck are we? Asked Amos. I can't even see the screen. I think we're in the cornfields, answered Henry. Duh, we were in the cornfields, said Myers, pushing a cornstalk at Henry. Okay, I know exactly where we are, said Amos. We have to go back in this direction. That'll take us to the other side of the field. Yo, Jules, said Jack, hand high in the air. That was really cool, you guys, to come back for us. Really cool. Thanks. No problem, answered Amos, high-fiving Jack, and then Myers and Henry high-fived him too. Yeah, Jules, thanks, I said, holding my palm up like Jack just had, though I wasn't sure if they high-fived me too. Amos looked at me and nodded. It was cool how you stood your ground, little dude, he said, high-fiving me. Yeah, Augie, said Myers, high-fiving me too. You were like, we're little than you guys. I didn't know what else to say. I laughed. Very cool, said Henry, and he high-fived me too. Sorry, I ripped your sweatshirt. I looked down, and my sweatshirt was completely torn down the middle. One sleeve was ripped off, and the other was stretched out. It was hanging down to my knees. Hey, your elbow's bleeding, said Jack. Yeah, I shrugged. It was starting to hurt a lot. You okay? Said Jack, seeing my face. I nodded. Suddenly I felt like crying, and I was trying really hard not to do that. Wait, your hearing aids are gone, said Jack. What? I yelled, touching my ears. The hearing aid band was definitely gone. That's why I felt like I was underwater. Oh no, I said, and that's when I couldn't hold it in anymore. Everything that just had happened kind of hit me, and I couldn't have it. I started crying, like big crying, what Mom would call the waterworks. I was so embarrassed I hid my face in my arm, but I couldn't stop the tears from coming. The guys were really nice to me, though. They pat me on the back. You're okay? It's okay, they said. You're one brave little dude. You know what? Said Amos, putting his arm around my shoulders. And when I came on crying, he put both his arms around me like that would have done and let me cry.
The Emperor God. We backtracked through the grass for a good 10 minutes to see if we could find my hearing aid, but it was too dark to see anything. We literally had to hold on to each other's skirt and walk in single file so we couldn't trip over one another. It was like black ink had been poured all around. "Very hopeless," said Henry. "They could be anywhere. Maybe we can come back with a flashlight," answered Ramos. "No, it's okay," I said. "Let's just go back." "Thank." We walked back toward the cornfield, and then cut through them into the back of the giant screen came into view. Since it was facing away from us, we didn't get any light from the screen at all until we did walk around to the edge of the wood again. That is when we finally started seeing a little light. There was no sign of the 7th grader anywhere. "Where do you think they went?" said Jack. "Back to the food truck," said Amos. "They are probably thinking we are going to report them." Are we?" asked Henry. "Hey, look at me." I shook my head. "Okay," said Amos. "But, little dudes, don't walk around here alone again, okay? If you need to go somewhere, tell us and we will go with you." "Okay," I nodded. As we walked closer to the screen, I could hear the high on the hill was a lonely guarded, and could smell the cotton candy from one of the concession stands near the food truck. There was a lot of kids milling around in this area, so I pulled what was left of my hoodie over my head and kept my face down, hang in the pocket, as we made out through the crowd. It had been a long time since I had been out without my hearing aid, and it felt like I was under the aid. I feel like that song Miranda used to sing to me, "Ground control to Major Tom. You curfew to death. There is something wrong." I did notice as I walked that Amos had stayed right next to me, and Jack was close on the other side of me, and Mike was in front of us, and Henry was in back of us. They were surrounding me as we walked through the crowd, like I have my own Emperor God.